Hello everyone, it's Tuesday night, and that means it's time for APPF1 Tier 2 once again. We're here in China for today's Grand Prix, and it is a sprint week, the only sprint week of the season. So we're going to have a one-shot qualifying session, followed by a sprint race, and then the main race. So let's see who's going to come out on top today. SDRS Racing has the championship lead, of course, after a fantastic win after Lawrence was penalised in the stewards last week. But let's see if he can hold his championship lead. It is very early in the season still, and we've got 5 seconds until qualifying begins. So here we go. We're going to ride on board with the championship leader. Why not? SDRS Racing. Lawrence has retired because he has a qualifying ban for penalty point accumulation. So that's why you see him, the Season 9 champion, retire. It's a terrible start to the lap for SDRS Racing. Championship leader down in P17 at the moment. See what he can do in the next part of the lap. He's in Sector 2 right now, just come into it anyways. But he's invalidated at the first corner of Sector 2, and it's a disaster for the championship leader. So we'll ride on board with LB instead in the AlphaTauri as he comes through Sector 2, the two-time Tier 2 champion, battling with Rick, the reserve, for pole position at the moment, and Alex G. Rick makes a mistake and drops down a few positions. And still LB in a prime position right now. Lucas Rowe, the next victim of the one-shot. SDRS not getting off to a good start. Sumo as well at the back of the grid at the moment. Here comes LB though, down towards the final couple of corners. DRS open on this long straight. We're going to see a lot of overtakes here. And into the hairpin he goes, brake just before the 100-meter board, still looking on pole position, but not using all of the track on the exit, but it should be good enough for LB to take pole position here, and that is my prediction from the podcast sorted. Thank you, LB. Aces in P2 on the grid. But LB destroying everyone there by half a second in the end. So it's LB on pole position with Aces alongside him on the front row. AP, Palfs and Scott make up row number 2. They'll both be delighted with that. Jack Alaco in P5 with Rick on the third row with him after a mistake in Sector 2. Enchilada Dad and Alex on row 4 with Tier and Ghost Rider in row 5. Robsu and Rafferrari the last to set laps with Lawrence, of course, retiring due to the quali ban. Lucas Rowe, SDRS Racing, Mania, RJ and Sumo, none of them able to set a lap in this one-shot quali. Lawrence is calling for LB to take the line off. Well, we'll see how his race pace is. He's so weird. It just, some weeks he's absolutely insane, and then other weeks he's completely nowhere, like Australia. So, don't know. But anyway, we'll get ready for the sprint race. I believe it's 10 laps in the sprint. We'll see if everyone goes soft or medium tyres. There won't be a formation lap, so we'll get straight into it. So here we go. I'm about to get ready for the start of the sprint race, the only one of the season. RJ saying he invalidated on the last corner, but here we go. 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Chinese sprint race in APPF1 Tier 2. It's a great start from LB from the front on the soft tyres, an even mix of soft and medium tyres on the grid for now. But LB gets off to a good start and he leads the Grand Prix with Aces in P2. Scott, his teammate in the Haas, P3, battling with AP for that last podium position at the moment as Scott follows in behind everyone through the first sector fairly cleanly by the look of it. Scott down the inside of AP into turn 5. It's a great overtake and Scott up to P3. It's a double podium for Haas at the moment. AP under pressure from Rick now down the inside, but Rick has to back out at the apex. They go through the next corner. Rick looking quick, but he's got the defending champion Jacko right behind him as well. LB absolutely flying at the front of the field at the moment as someone's way off there. That's Mania, I think, in the Aston Martin. No, it's Lawrence, actually, the season 9 champion. Ghost Rider also losing positions in the Red Bull. I wonder if there's any damage to anyone. Lucas Rowe down the inside and gets up to P12. STRS Racing, the championship leader, also making moves. He's up 2 positions at the moment, as is Sumo up 3, as the McLaren driver looks to gain another place here. Sorry, that's Rafferrari looking to gain a place in the other McLaren, but has to back out in the end. We look back to the front, though, as Tier and Jacko go wheel to wheel, and Tier gets past the defending champion up to P6. Battling for P4. Scott's there as well. Is it going to be 3 wide into turn 1? Rick's just behind. He's going to have to just watch and wait and see what happens between these two. AP goes deep, and that could be an opportunity for the Dutchman down the inside for turn 2, but he's not quite going to be able to hold it unless he can keep it around the outside of 3, and he can't. AP stays ahead for now, and he's got Scott right in his sights. LB has pulled away very easily, and AP around the outside of Scott, breaks late for turn 5. Can he get the move done? He gets better grip on the exit. It's a lovely move from AP Palps, and he's up to P3. What about Scott? Can't quite get the move back done on him at the next corner, and AP into the podium positions. Ace is chasing after LB at the moment, but falling further and further behind. Oh, AP, he's round. There was nothing, no one anywhere near him. He's just binned it by himself. He's going to be absolutely gutted as he drops all the way to the back of the grid. What a shame for the league founder. And he's down to P18 now, the first real casualty of this sprint race so far. Tier, meanwhile, under pressure from Jack Alaco. Here comes the Alpine driver, looks to the inside, down towards the hairpin. The slipstream is crazy down this straight, even without the DRS. Tier breaks very late, but Jacko has the inside, but Tier gets the better run on the exit and stays ahead down towards the final corner. Surely Jacko backs out. Yes, he does, but he's looking to get a better exit on down towards turn 1. Enchilada Dad getting involved as well as Alex just behind. LB way ahead now. Let's switch to tyres so we can see. LB on softs, Scott on softs as well, but Aces and everyone else in the top 8 on mediums. Then it's Robsu on softs, struggling to stay on board with Alex, with Rafferrari and SDRS, the 2 McLarens just behind him on the mediums. SDRS making good progress, as is Sumo. He's up to P12 and putting the championship leader under pressure here down towards the next corner, but can't quite make a move yet, but he's doing a good job on those soft tyres. But those mediums are going to be better towards the end of this sprint race, I'm sure, as Lawrence tries to make up places as well on those medium tyres after his qualifying ban. The sprint, either a blessing or a curse with the quali ban, really. It gives you more opportunity to get further up the grid before the main race, but also it makes you lose out on points because there's points available for the sprint. So it's a double-edged sword, really. for Lawrence, but here goes another battle. It's Rafferari and Robsu. Jacko, meanwhile, getting past Tier again for P4 with the DRS. Enchiladad looking to follow him, but breaks early. Tier breaks too late, though, and hits the back of Jackalacco. Loses some time on the exit. Can Enchilada get the better of him? They're side by side just behind as well between Robsu and Alex. Robsu all the way off the track. Rafferari getting involved, trying to make a double overtake. He's doing well as the Spanish driver at the moment. It's 3 wide down towards turn 1. Rafferari's got to be careful. He's gone on the grass, but he's just about managed to hold it as he nearly go 3 wide through turn 2. But Rafferari does very, very well to keep hold of his car there. That was a very tricky situation to be in, and he's done a good job, as have the other two in that battle, Alex and Robsu. But it's far from over as they head into turn 5. Rafferari on the grass again, and his teammate is being allowed to catch up to this battle now for the top 10. Remember, it's points for the top 8 in the sprint race, from 8 down to 1. So still plenty up for grabs before the main race begins, but the racing has been fantastic so far. LB with LB with a screw you lead at the moment, 3.2 seconds. Rick 1.4 behind Aces, with Scott trying to stay on board with him but losing out on those soft tyres, and Jackalacco is going to be hunting him down in that Alpine. The defending champ had a terrible start to the season last week in Australia, but he's got a point to prove today, I think, and he's going to want to get his title defence off to a little bit of a better start today. And he's doing that at the moment in the top 5, but is that going to be good enough? We'll have to wait and see. With STRS Racing down in 11th, the championship leader has got the most work to do, really, out of anyone. As Rafferari again trying to make a move on Robsu, who could be struggling on those soft tyres already. Here comes the McLaren around the outside. Robsu squeezes him round. Rafferari tries to keep his car alongside, but can't quite do it. Has to back out. Can he get a better exit out of 3, though? No, he can't. And Robsu stays ahead. These 4 battling it out for P9. Alex has managed to pull away and has, in fact, joined forces with the group in front, which is the train for P5. And Alex doing a good job at the moment in that Mercedes. I think the softs perhaps starting to lose their way already compared to the mediums. The LB should have a big enough gap to mitigate that at the moment, 3.5 seconds, but will that start coming down, I wonder, in the next few laps? We're only halfway through the sprint, not even that, as Lawrence gets past the championship leader. STRS Racing, though, breaks very, very late into the corner, and I think there was contact between them. I don't know if there's damage to that McLaren, nothing visible, but he did seem to break extremely late in there when they were side by side, but he's stayed ahead for now. Who's got the DRS? It's the McLaren. So Lawrence is going to have to back out of that one as Rafferari gets back past Robsu again. Down towards the hairpin. We've got RJ trying to make a move on Sumo as well. The Red Bull and Mercedes fighting, but RJ out of ERS, as you can see by that flashing red light on the back of his car. Lucas Rowe just trying to stay on track with the drivers ahead, but losing out 1.5 seconds, and is now under pressure from Mania as Robsu and Rafferari go side by side once again through turns 1 and 2. Sumo and RJ as well swapping places again down towards turn 1, and again through the next few corners. That's Scott round now in the Haas. He's all the way down to P8, P9 as he rejoins the track. Robsu with a time penalty for track limits as he fights to Scott rejoins. A bit of contact between them, and Scott down to P11 now, with Lawrence down the inside of the Haas driver into the next corner, and he's made that move stick. Scott is going to have to try and get his bearings back. I don't know if there was contact between him and Rick, or if it was just simply a matter of Scott dropping it on those soft tyres, but I'm sure we'll find out in the stewards later on if it was contact. But anyways, get my my phone in order. There we go. It's more battling going on between Robsu and SDRS as they go down towards the next DRS straight. A bit of contact between them as they go head into the DRS zone. Rick getting past Aces in the meantime for P2, and they are catching up to LB in the meantime as those soft tyres start to worsen. We've got 3 wide into the hairpin. Robsu just watching and waiting to see what's going to happen. They're all sandwiched, and Robsu, what a move! He switches all of them back. He saw what was going to happen. Scott's round, Lawrence's round, they've both lost a ton of positions. It was 3 wide. It was always bound to happen, and Robsu saw it coming, and he's up to P9, but he does have that penalty to contend with. Sumo up into the top 10 as he gets back past RJ again, taking advantage of all of that. RJ gets a time penalty for a collision with SDRS Racing for gaining a place. I don't know if he'll manage to get that removed or not. In fact, no, he won't, because it's the sprint race, so that's unfortunate for RJ, that one. We've got yellow flags. That is Ghost Rider, who is out of the session. He's retired in the pit lane, so he'll be starting from the back. We've got 3.5 laps to go in this sprint race. The championship leader is down in P13. He's out of the points at the moment in the sprint, so he's got a lot of work to do in the main race. Mania and RJ side by side again. Mania getting the move done, and yeah, those soft tyres definitely starting to lose out now to the mediums, although LB has retaken his advantage. 3.5 seconds again is the gap as these two go side by side, SDRS and RJ. The McLaren getting the better of the Red Bull. And now Scott trying to take advantage as well as Aces makes a move on Rick down towards the hairpin and gets that done by the looks of things. As Rick, back at him on the exit, and he's back up into P2. I think a mistake from Aces because the gap to LB got bigger again, and another mistake from Aces out the final corner, and now he is comfortably down to P3 with 3 laps to go. I think LB has run away with this sprint and is most likely going to run away with the main race as well, as it stands, but with this kind of pace. But Tier on the back of Enchiladad meanwhile for P5. It's a good battle brewing. Let's have a quick look at penalties. It's 5 seconds to Rafferrari and 3 seconds to Robsu. That's unfortunate for Rafferrari. He might be able to get that removed, as will RJ perhaps, but it won't save them grid positions, but it may save them points in the sprint if Rafferrari does manage to finish this one in P8. He's doing a fantastic job out there right now. But Tier still putting the pressure on this Williams. Jacko putting the pressure on the Haas as well of Aces as we head into the last few laps of this sprint race. The championship leader looking to get himself into the top 3. These two were P1 and P2 in the Drivers' Championship last season, just the other way round to the way they are now. As here comes the Alpine. Look at that DRS overspeed. He looks to the inside but does not send it into the hairpin, just giving Aces a little bit of a reminder that he's there. And Rick has binned it out the hairpin, trying too hard to catch LB, I would think. And he is all the way round as he does a 17 billion point turn to get back facing in the right direction, and that's going to be a free position for everyone behind as Tier and Enchiladad swap places, as do Jacko and Aces. Jacko up to P2, and what a sprint race he is having with 2 laps to go. He's up into 2nd place. LB is long gone, but Jacko still very much in this. Tier and Enchiladad P4 and 5 still battling it out as Tier has gotten past now, but can he stay ahead is the question. Alex not too far behind if anything goes wrong. Rafferrari promoted to P7. Sumo is in the points as it stands, by the way, as Lawrence getting past Mania for P11, salvaging a couple more grid positions in that Alpine, as SDRS Racing down in P10 is the championship leader. But even so, it's still an improvement from where he started on the grid for this sprint race. But still, not what he would have wanted from this sprint, perhaps, as Lucas Rowan, the next to get a track limits penalty. down there in P16, AP a long way behind, of course. After that spin, as Rick puts the pressure on Scott, Enchilada putting the pressure on Tia and getting past into the hairpin, but going very deep, but Tia nearly loses the car. How on earth did he hold on to that one? He was facing almost in completely the wrong direction and somehow held on to it. That's a very good save from Tia there, and gives him a chance to fight still for this P4 position. As they head down towards turn 1, he's only half a second behind this Williams. Enchiladad's going to be feeling the pressure on this final lap. Alex G, 1.7 behind. I don't think he'll be challenging them, but Rafferrari will be challenging him in the McLaren. Look at this. It's a great performance so far from Rafferrari. I think he'll drop just out of the points, perhaps, due to that penalty, but if he gets it removed in the stewards, then of course he would regain that position. As we head into the second sector for the final time in this sprint, we've got 3 wide between Mania, Scott and Rick further back in sector 2. Rick just trying to hold on and in fact going around the outside of Mania as he gets a poor exit, and Rick back up to P13, but not what he had in mind after being P2 just a lap ago. As Tia now half a second behind Enchiladad. This is the big battle of this sprint now towards the end. But does Enchiladad get the DRS from Aces? That's the question. He's got no ERS though, but neither does Tia. But Tia gets the DRS. The Williams driver doesn't, and Tia gets past up to P4 into the hairpin. He just needs a good exit, and he should keep that position for this sprint race, and he does. LB wins the sprint race in China by a whopping margin. Jack Alaco finishes P2, a great performance here. Aces in P3 in the end. He'll be a bit worried by that race pace. Tia, Enchiladad and Alex G in the top 6. Rafferrari drops to P8 after his penalty, so he will still get a point, even with the penalty, if he can't get it removed. Lawrence somehow manages to get back up to P7 after all of that. He's done well there. Sumo finishes just out the points in P9. And then the rest of the grid follow along. It's an action-packed sprint race there. Some good racing. Bodes well for the main race. So yeah, it is LB who takes the win, and Jacko is pleading for LB's racing line to be taken off. Again, it's just he's just weird. He's just weird. He's rapid here, and he was rubbish in Australia. So I've no idea what happens with LB these days. Ace is in P3 with Tia in P4, just about pipping Enchiladad on the last lap. Alex G in P6. Lawrence and Rafferrari take the last few points from the sprint, with Sumo in P9 just outside. SDRS Racing improves by 5 places up to P10. Sumo improved by 9. What a performance from him. Robsu, Rick, Scott, Mania, Lucas Rowe, RJ and AP, the rest of the finishers, with Ghost Rider unable to finish. Let's see, forgot to turn racing line off on lap 1, so drop to the back to flick it back off. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I won't penalise you for that. Count it as a technical issue. So here we go then, as we get ready for the main race. Again, there'll be no formation laps, so we'll be straight in as everyone gets their strategies prepared. It'll be LB on pole once again, but it'll be Jack Alaco alongside him on the front row this time instead of Aces. That'll be aces on the second row with Tier in P4. Good performance from him in the Ferrari. But very interested to see how this one is going to end up. So here we go. 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we're underway for the Chinese Grand Prix. It seems like a good start from LB from the front. No, it's a better start for Jack Alacco as he goes down the inside into turn 1 and early on. Aces and Tier side by side, just behind. Someone's all the way off. That's Enchilada Dad and the Williams off at turn 1. As everyone else files through, looks like everyone else has gone through okay. Alex with a huge slide in the background there, just about keeping hold of it. SDRS up 2 places, Rick up 2 places as well, but who's that? It's Alex G, who's gone far too deep into turn 5, and he's nearly taken everyone else out with him, as he's now under huge pressure from Rafferrari, and Lawrence just behind Rafferrari up to P6. What a start for him as well in the McLaren. SDRS racing up 2 places as well, but here comes Lawrence down the inside. We've got 5-second penalty for Tier, which he's going to have to serve in the pits. That's a huge shame for him. That's a Ferrari. That's Lucas Rowe round in the background. I don't know how he's managed that. Perhaps on the curb, perhaps contact between him and another driver, but either way it's a virtual safety car, so the race will be neutralized on this first lap for about half a lap or so, I would guess. But it's Jacko who's taken the lead of this one. Let's have a quick look at tyres, as position changes, not much to talk about. So tyres, almost the whole grid on medium tyres to start, with Lucas Rowe starting on the hards, but of course that plan has not turned out well after his error. We've got a lot of argy-bargy going on back there. No idea how that's happened. We've got green flags. We've got Rafa. No, we've got SDRS racing around and out. He's out of the race. The championship leader. I think it was contact with his teammate as well. It's a disaster at McLaren. Sumo profits up to P8, up to P7. In fact, is the Mercedes driver. I think there's damage to Ferrari's car after that contact. No idea how that happened, but everyone filing through turn 2. That was a bit of a calamity from everyone at the restart there, as everyone was trying to find a way past. AP looking for a way through, as well as RJ goes too deep into the corner, hits Scott, goes round a little bit, but no harm done, I don't think. He loses the place as there's a bit of contact between him and AP, meanwhile, as they go through the next corner, but I don't think any harm done there either. We've got yellow flags. That's Ghost Rider coming through turn 1 after pitting for a fresh set of soft tyres. Disaster for him. SDRS Racing, what a horrible race he has had. He was really looking forward to this one as well, and it's all gone wrong. It went wrong in one-shot qualifying. The sprint didn't go ideally, and he's out of the race on lap 1. He is not happy in the Discord chat, but everyone down towards the hairpin now. Tier and Aces side by side. Tier getting past up to P3, and he's looking like he's got some good pace out there today, as Jacko fending off LB for P1 at the moment, with Tier just behind. LB setting the fastest lap. Tier just setting the fastest lap just behind on lap 2. But it's these top 4 now, pulling away from the rest of the grid. Alex 2 seconds behind. He started on the soft tyres, so he's going to have a bad time in around 5 laps time, I would have thought. He's already under pressure from Rick in the Alfa Romeo, who's had a fantastic start to this race. Back up to P6 again. Sumo up to P7. He's on the softs as well, and he's under pressure from Lawrence D. These two, a lovely rivalry that they've got, and Sumo is currently beating Lawrence on track, which Lawrence is going to be fuming about. He is not going to want to lose to Sumo on track, and that's exactly what's happening right now. A long way to go, of course, in this Grand Prix. We'll see how it pans out. Would love to see these two have a race-long battle. Rafferrari chasing after them. Looks like he's still got his car intact. He's not dropping off. But yeah, that was definitely contact between him and his teammate at the exit of the final corner. So a disaster for McLaren there. Pretty much a disaster for McLaren in general, as LB gets past Jack Alaco, Rick getting past Alex further back, and Ace is getting past Tier. 3 overtakes in one straight. 4 overtakes make that in one straight, as Lawrence gets past Sumo for P7, and Sumo is tagged by Rafferrari just behind, loses the place to the McLaren, and Rafferrari is not having a good day in terms of rear-ending cars, because that's the second time it's happened today. And now Sumo's going to have the DRS on the McLaren, but is it going to be enough to get past into turn 1? I don't think it is. Is he going to look to the inside? No, he's not. He's going to wait for a better opportunity. There is the opportunity, and he's up back into P8 again in the Mercedes. Rafferrari now under pressure from Scott on the exit of turn 3. But just about keeping that position for now. But Scott right behind an AP, not far behind him either. Scott looking to the inside, but decides against it, as LB now stretches his legs at the front of the field. 7 tenths, 8 tenths already is the gap between him and Jacko, as RJ gets past Enchiladadad for P14 in the meantime in the Red Bull. And the Williams driver down to 15th after his early mishap. It was turn 1 where his race took a turn for the worse, and he's got a recovery drive to do for the rest of this one. But he gets back past RJ. I think a mistake from the Red Bull driver, and the Williams back up to P14, but a big mistake through the long right-hander, just about holding onto the car, but losing 2 positions and a ton of time in the process. There's a lot of overtakes going on at the front. Rafferrari getting back past Sumo for P8. I think that was Rick getting past Alex as well for 5th place. And Rafferrari keeping the car on the track at the hairpin and staying ahead of the Mercedes for now. As they head down towards turn 1 once more. Sumo with the DRS, but I don't think he's going to make a move. LB already 1.3 seconds ahead. Alex G down the inside of Rick now through the long right-hander. And they're side by side again. Rick down the inside on the exit, but Alex going to get the switchback on at turn 3, but can't quite get the traction down. And he's back down to 6th again. Brakes very late for turn 5, but keeps it under control just about. And Lawrence is in the vicinity here for those 2 drivers ahead of him. He's going to want to get that DRS. He needs to be within a second at the detection point. He is right now 9 tenths, but there's a few corners to go, including this tricky double left-hander. I think he'll be safe. Oh, there's rain! I just saw a spatter of rain, and suddenly this race is going to take a turn. I wonder if the drivers knew it was going to rain, or if they had no idea. Here we go, lap 5 of 28, and this race suddenly bursts into life once again as the rain starts falling. And will it be bad enough for Inters, or is it just going to be sort of slick rain as we got 3 wide further in the midfield? Scott, Rafferrari and Sumo side by side. Scott's gotten both of them down towards the hairpin. Sumo brakes late, but not late enough. Scott brakes too late for the hairpin, but just about keeps it under control and keeps the position. But this rain is coming down, and this is why everyone started on the mediums, and this is why some started on the softs, because they knew the rain was coming. And here comes Sumo on the outside. Rafferrari getting swamped here. It's 3 wide. AP down the inside of both of them, and he makes a double overtake, but Sumo has him on the exit. And back up to P9 goes the Mercedes, but almost a fantastic move from AP there, as Rafferrari loses 3 places in as many corners. We've got RJ and Robsu battling as well for P12. Palang's in the chat saying, let's go, Scott. So a Scott supporter is the Canadian, as Robsu and RJ again side by side through the next corner. AP and Rafferrari also, as the McLaren gets his way past. It's a good overtake there, but it's an even better one from AP if he can pull this off. What a move from the British driver. He's back up to P10 again. There's not a place you usually overtake, but he's made it work. And now he's chasing after Sumo for P9 as the rain keeps coming down. When is it going to be bad enough for Inters, I wonder? Is it ever going to be bad enough for Inters, as Rafferrari comes in with an unintentional dive bomb there? AP keeping it together, keeping ahead, but Rafferrari is not having a good time out there today. He is braking too late, taking out and rear-ending Sumo, I think, at 1.2. AP, Sumo losing the position to Rafferrari. These drivers right together, and there's nearly contact between Sumo and RJ at the hairpin again, and RJ nearly goes round. Rick is in the pit lane for intermediates. He's taken the plunge. Will anyone else follow him? Yes, a few. Rafferrari in, Sumo in, Mania in, taking the plunge for the intermediates. Is it too early, or have they timed this just right? We're about to find out as Aces and Jacko battle it out for P2. In the meantime, Aces has gotten ahead. LB's got a piss-off lead now, so he's going to win this race by a mile. This reminds me of Luca in ESRL. It's just basically, you know, it's just race over. But Rick, Sumo, Mania, Enchilada Dad, Rafferrari, Lucas, and Ghost Rider all into the pits for the intermediate tyres, taking the risk. The DRS is still active as far as I'm aware, though. Jackalacco, we'll see here. So he gets to the activation point. He is in DRS range. So will he be able to activate it on the exit here? The rain's really coming down now here in China, and who knows how this race is going to pan out. We've got DRS activated for Jacko, so we've still got the DRS available to the drivers. So it's not quite intermediates yet, according to the game, but is it more consistent to be on inters at this stage? Who knows? Is LB in? Yes, he is. He's decided that enough is enough, but Aces has stayed out. Jacko's in. Tia stays out as well. Who else? Lawrence stays out to avoid the double stack. Alex G into the pits. Scott in. AP in. RJ staying out. Robsu in as well. So 4 drivers on the slicks staying out. Will it be? Oh no, Robsu! Robsu's out! What's he done? Oh no, I think he's gone too deep into the pit lane and he's out of the session. I think he may have locked up. I think he's done a Lewis Hamilton in 2007. And even though there's no gravel there, it's still possible to DNF. I don't know, maybe he hit the car in front of him, maybe he locked up into the wall, I've no idea, but that's perfect timing for those who've just pitted. Rick up to P7 though, but I don't think he's actually gained any positions from that, as LB and Jacko pick their way around. We do have a safety car out, so it's waiting at the exit of turn 3, but LB, the de facto race leader, but are the top 4 right now, who all stayed out on those slick tyres, are they going to benefit from this now? I don't know if they'll come out ahead of LB. I really don't think so. I think LB was far enough ahead to avoid that problem. But surely they come out ahead of Jacko, I would have thought. At least Aces will. I don't know about Tia. It's really tricky to say because everyone's driving to a Delta now. I don't know where Lawrence is going to come out. Remember, Tia has a 5-second penalty which he's going to have to serve here. But he'll actually be pleased that the safety car has come out at this point. Because he'll be able to serve that 5 seconds with a lot less impunity. Yeah, all of them coming into the pits now. Will Tia be able to even stay ahead of Lawrence here? Lawrence going very deep into the pits, just about keeping it out of the wall. What about RJ? Can he do the same? Into the pits he comes. Robsu already made this mistake coming into the pits. RJ goes deep as well, but keeps it within the white lines. As Rick and Alex swapping places. That's not ideal. Please don't do that, guys. LB coming down towards turn 1, though. I think he's going to lose out to Aces. He has done. Aces versus Kings now leads the Chinese Grand Prix with LB in 2nd place. Jackalacco in P3. Lawrence has gained hugely out of this. He's in P4. He did manage to jump Tia after his penalty. So Tia's down to 5th place, as RJ exits the pits in P10 in the meantime in the Red Bull. And everyone rejoining at the back of the queue now. Ghost Rider should be able to get back into this race as well in the other Red Bull. But wow, a change of weather and a safety car to boot, and a change of leader. Aces leads the Grand Prix for the first time. So we will see how this goes. So as Ghost Rider joins back with the pack, he's back into this race, and we do have the wet weather throwing a spanner in the works for these drivers now. It is Aces who leads from LB and Jacko, with Lawrence there in P4. It's looking very good for Alpine at the moment, but still a long way to go, of course, not even halfway through this Grand Prix. But safety car in this lap now. We're going to get back underway very shortly. It's Aces who's going to lead the way. He decides the pace as the safety car heads back to the pit lane. And Aces can punch it as soon as the safety car enters that pit lane. With LB looking to take advantage if it's a bad restart. It's going to be tough in these wet conditions now to really take advantage. But LB is going to try it, and there's going to be plenty of mistakes happening and plenty of overtakes, I'm sure. But here we go. Aces decides when to punch it. 18 laps to go at the end of this one. He's leaving it pretty late. We're not at the final corner yet. He's gone for it just before the final corner. Has he caught LB off guard? No, not at all. LB gets a great exit, but it's not good enough to contest down towards turn one, I would have thought, unless he's got absolutely insane straight line speed, which he does not. And Enchiladadad making a move on Mania in the meantime. He's up to P12, but he has to give that place back up. He made that overtake before the line, and he gives the place up to Ferrari as well by accident in the process. So Enchiladadad actually losing a position there. He could lose another one to Lucas Rowe on the exit of turn two, but I think he's just about managed to hold on to it, and he has done, with Ghost Rider trying to make an overtake as well on the Ferrari on the exit, but just about staying behind. He looks for the dive bomb into turn 5, but that's surely not going to work in these conditions. Instead, settles for the switchback as Lucas Rowe goes very deep. But they're still going to be side by side on the exit, and Lucas Rowe keeps the position in the end for P15, the last points paying position, in fact, as Aces continues to lead the Grand Prix by half a second from LB. He's using some of that overtake button. There's 10% difference between the two drivers at the moment in terms of that battery. Scott and Alex side by side as they go through this tricky section of track. Scott is keeping that position for now and getting past Alex into P7. That's a great little battle between those two, and a huge mistake from Alex on the exit that allows RJ to get through as well. It could allow AP to get through if he's not careful. Here comes the Aston Martin driver, but they're all going to go 3 wide into the hairpin here. Surely not. We've got overtakes happening at the front. In the meantime, LB and Aces side by side, so we're going to cut back to them. In the meantime, LB and Aces still side by side, and there's contact. Aces is round at the final corner on lap 11, and he is going to be absolutely furious with LB for that one. Rick's got himself a time penalty. I think that's for track limits. AP's round as well in the Aston Martin. I don't know how that happened, as Ferrari gets past Aces into turn 1 and 2. Down the inside in the meantime, as Aces now has another recovery drive to do. LB back into the lead, and well, you'd from Jacko based on his race pace earlier on in this Grand Prix, but it's an Alpine double podium as it stands as a result of that Aces mistake. Rick in the hunt for P1 as well at the moment. He does have that time penalty to his name, but he is at least in the 1 second range of Tier. As I say that, loses time, but he's just about teetering on the edge of that margin, with Scott 1.8 seconds behind them. Lawrence and Jacko swap positions in the meantime. Lawrence back up to P2, or I say up to P2 for the first time in this race, as Jacko loses the place. He's now under pressure from Tier, who last time we raced in China in Tier 2 and it was wet. Tier crashed right here. It was in the exit of this corner. He went straight into the wall. So he'll be looking to avoid the same fate again today. And here he goes. He's using the ERS. He's going to look to the inside of Jacko into the hairpin. Brakes late. Jacko loses his braking through the hairpin, and he's very wide, and Tier takes that position up to P3. Lawrence goes wide as well. LB already opening up a huge lead, 1.2 seconds. He's got less than half of his ERS left, so he has been pushing, but so has everyone else in this train. They've just been battling and allowing LB to build that gap. But Tier now chasing after Lawrence for second place. He is flying in these conditions right now, as Rick tries to stay on board with Jacko, who's just teetering on the edge. I don't think he's a fan of these conditions at the moment in that Alpine. Scott, in the meantime, has gotten back on terms with the cars in front of him. He was some 2 seconds behind Rick not very long ago, and now here he is right behind again. So Scott in the mix as well. RJ's up there in P7, Sumo P8 as well. He's not too far behind, but he's got a lot of work to do. Mania getting past Ferrari there. I think a mistake from the McLaren, because Ace has got past him as well. He's on one heck of a recovery drive after that contact with LB at the final corner. No idea whose fault it was, or if it was just a racing incident, but Aces will be very aggrieved with it. And yeah, he's left himself with a lot of work to do, as he now chases after Alex for P9. It's Sumo just ahead. And then 4 seconds to the next car of RJ, so a lot of work for Aces to do. He's going to hope for another safety car, perhaps another weather change as well, as Scott makes his way past Rick up to P5. Rick still has that track limits penalty to contend with. Scott goes very deep at the exit of the hairpin, just about holds onto it. Aces gets past Alex in the meantime, but slides through the hairpin. What a lovely, stylish overtake there from Aces. Alex won't be too happy about it, but there's nothing really you can do. And Aces up into P9 and now chasing after Sumo for 8th place. But look at this straight line speed from Alex. He's using the ERS. He sends it down the inside. Aces leaves him the room, but I don't think he's going to make that move stick, Alex. And no, he has to back out of it in the end, does the Ukrainian driver. And he's got to deal with Mania now, who's just behind him instead, as Aces continues to try and chase after the other Mercedes of Sumo. Rick still on level terms with Scott at the moment, but slowly falling away by the looks of it. And Tia is chasing after Lawrence. LB has a 1.5 second lead, so he is running away with this one once again, even in different conditions. But Tia is looking at a very strong performance today at the moment. We're only halfway through, anything can still happen, but a lot of potential for this Ferrari driver today by the looks of it. Of course, I've just cursed him now and he's going to crash on this corner exit. No, he's fine. Okay, good. 1.3 seconds between LB and Lawrence now, as Tia again pressing that ERS button, but he's not able to make any sort of move on Lawrence, and he's, I think, going to start getting frustrated by seeing the back of this Alpine very soon. But Lawrence goes deep, and this could be an opportunity on the exit, but no, you can't get the grip that you need out of that hairpin, especially in these conditions, if you have the inside line, and Lawrence keeps the place. But LB's lead not invincible at the moment, as Lawrence is out of ERS, and Tia will know that because that red light is flashing faster, but there's a bit of contact between them again. I think maybe a bit of latency between them as well. I actually don't know if the red light flashes faster when you're out of ERS. No, it does. It definitely does. Oh no, because Scott is flashing pretty fast as well, but he's not out of ERS. So, I'm not sure, maybe it's a car thing? Maybe some cars flash faster than others? Yeah, that seems to be the case. But anyway, Alex under pressure from Ferrari, Sumo under pressure from Aces. What a move from the Haas driver into turn 5, but Sumo's going to be back at him on the exit, but loses the rear, and Aces will keep that position. He's up to P8 in his recovery as it continues on. 5 seconds, though, to the next car, so a lot of work for Aces to do, but I think he's more than capable. He's shown great pace so far today, and as long as he can keep it on the circuit, I think he can definitely chase after a top 5 finish today. That's 5th place currently held by Scott, his teammate, who's having a great drive himself as well. AP's round in the background in Sector 1 on the exit of 3, unfortunately. So he'll be irritated by that one as Tia finally makes a move on Lawrence. He's up to P2 in that Ferrari. Lawrence with no ERS left, nothing to defend with, and Tia is into 2nd place, and he's now going to be chasing after LB as AP's round again in Sector 2 in the meantime. But Tia 1.0 seconds behind LB. Scott's into the pit lane. Is it getting dry? Yeah, the rain stopped. It's going to go back to slicks again. And Tia, that is not what Tia wants to see, because he's flying in these conditions right now. But if it goes back to slicks again, LB is going to run away with this once again. You have to think. Scott in for the hard tyres to the end of this race. I'm surprised he came in for hards. I thought it would be mediums. Enchiladad coming in as well, taking the gamble in the Williams. It still seems early to go on the slicks, but these guys taking the plunge, and it's mediums for Enchiladad. That's more like what I was expecting, but it's old mediums. Oh yeah, of course, because they don't have a set, because they went in the sprint. I think Enchilada might have forgotten about that. So 6-lap old medium tyres for him. Alex G's round in the meantime at the exit of turn 5. He's down, lost a couple of places thanks to that. Ferrari under pressure from Mania for P9 right now. But I don't think the Aston Martin driver is going to be able to do anything through this part of the track, as Alex is going to chase back after them. He's so fast, Alex, but he's just not been consistent enough. I think Sumo's started to get more and more consistent over the last month or so, and I think Alex needs to follow in his footsteps as Tia and Lawrence swap places again. Lawrence back up to P2. I think a mistake from the Ferrari driver, because he's lost a lot of time to LB, and a mistake from both of them at the exit of the hairpin is going to bring Jacko back into this battle, but it's going to extend LB's lead further. I think it is too early for the slicks. Let's have a quick ride on board with Scott as he comes through the long right-hander. He looks okay, you know. Let's see, Enchilada Dad, is he going to lock up into this corner? He looks fine. 8.2 seconds. Oh, that's very slippy, though, through that right-hander. And, yeah, no, it is very tricky out there. But Scott, yeah, losing time to Ghost Rider. I think they've taken a gamble, and it's too early for the slicks. Ghost Rider in as well. He's decided to go for it too, having seen the two drivers behind him give it a go. But, he's into the pits very slowly, making sure he doesn't get a penalty. As here comes Tia right on the back of Lawrence, practically on his gearbox as they go through the middle sector, but not able to do anything about it. LB is off once again. It was for a moment looking like there would be a challenge to his lead, but not anymore, as Tia and Lawrence have lost out. Tia losing the rear again a little bit there. Ghost Rider gets a penalty for crossing the pit lane line on the exit of the pit lane. So that's unfortunate for him, but an avoidable penalty, it has to be said, as Enchilada Dad now chases after him. But yeah, I really think it's too early for slicks at the moment. Here comes Tia again on Lawrence. Lawrence has saved up some ERS again, but it's not enough to keep the Ferrari behind. Tia is up to P2 again, as the rain is not coming down anymore, but it's also not getting sunny out there, so the track's going to dry pretty slowly, as Ferrari now finds himself with a track limits penalty. But through the final corner they go for the 18th time, or the 17th time I should say. LB with a 3.3 second lead. He's way ahead again. But these three, Tia, Lawrence and Jacko, this is the real battle for P2. Tia and the two Alpines putting on a real show for everyone today. Rick 3 seconds behind, RJ 3 seconds behind him. Aces has caught up. He was 4 seconds behind RJ some 4 or 5 laps ago, and he has caught right back up. 1.4 seconds between them, and Aces definitely in with a shout of a top 5 finish today, as long as he doesn't balls up the strategy, because he is infamous for ballsing up the strategy. It seems like Scott's taken the hit for him today, but who knows at this point, as Scott gets past Sumo for P11 in the meantime. Alex into the pits for the slicks as well. Sumo's obviously in his ear telling him the slicks are fine. I'm not seeing it at the moment. It still seems pretty wet, but as we ride on board with Scott, it is looking drier now. Now that I look at it a couple of laps later, but Scott goes very deep and loses a bit of time. Yeah, he's lost 4 tenths there to Lucas Rowe on the exit, but Sumo right behind him. So I think we're right on that crossover point now. I do think Scott and Enchilada Dad came in too early, but we're now starting to get on the crossover point, and it's crunch time for the race leaders. When do you come into the pits? Do you come in this lap? Do you wait another lap? LB thinks it's this lap. Lawrence stays out. Tia into the pits as well for the slick tyres, but Lawrence has stayed out for the Inters. Jacko comes in just behind. It's sensible stuff from the Alpines. They've clearly been communicating about that one. Ace is staying out as well. I think it's just about getting to the right lap to pit, but it's soft tyres for all the pit stoppers now. Of course, Ferrari staying out in the McLaren. He's going to be a bit of a spoiler effect here, but he's just behind LB instead of in front, so he's not going to cause any disruption to the AlphaTauri driver. Hello to the Omp in the chat, welcome in. Good to see you. There's Jacko getting past Lucas Rowe, so I think those slicks definitely starting to come into play now. The track's getting drier. Lucas with the better exit, but only for a moment. DRS is enabled. There's your sign that we're getting into slick territory. Lucas Rowe brakes very late though for the corner. It's still right on the crossover, I think. It's difficult to warm up those tyres. We've got AP into the pits, but he's done a Lewis Hamilton 2007, and he's lost another bunch of time there, and into the pits he comes. And unfortunately, is a long. And Ace is going to come out the pits here. Lawrence coming down towards the hairpin. One corner to go until he can come in, but I think it's slicks now. We've got yellow flags. Scott's out! Scott's out of the race, and we've got a safety car. It's perfect timing for Lawrence and Aces. Ferrari as well. Lucas Rowe's going to benefit from this too, but not as much. But Scott has binned it by the looks of it. Mania's gone round as well. Maybe, or I'm not sure if he did actually. Maybe he was just going slow for the Delta, but I don't know if there was contact for Scott or if he's just binned it by himself. But he is out of this Grand Prix, and now everyone who finishes will get points. It's points for the top 15 in APPF1. Lawrence into the pits. Ace is in as well for the soft tyres. Lawrence will surely inherit the race lead now. But we're on to the slick tyres, and we've seen how fast LB was on the slicks earlier in this Grand Prix. So Lawrence, I think, is going to be living on borrowed time here, but who knows? LB in P2 now. Tier down to P3. He's going to be fighting off Jacko. I think Tier's pace in the dry wasn't too bad, but it wasn't absolutely crazy, electric like it was in the wet for the last 10 laps or so. So he's going to be disappointed to see it get dry again. As Sumo exits, comes out, and he's going to be P6, is he? No, he's going to have to give that place back up to Ferrari. So P7 for Sumo, after he pitted a little bit earlier than everyone else, but he'll be very happy with that. Lucas Rowe is going to be delighted. He's up to P8. A lot of drivers gaining a huge amount from this. Lucas Rowe in particular, though, he was all the way at the back before this safety car, and now suddenly P8 for the Ferrari driver. It's looking pretty good, but he's still got to defend for the next 7 or 8 laps. So let's see what I've missed in the chat in the meantime. There was only replays. Yeah, I wish. Be lovely to just press a button and go back and see what happened to Scott, but you know, that's the way it is. That's the price we have to pay for using proper F1 cars on proper F1 tracks. It's that the game isn't very good. Isn't very polished, but oh well. AP is going to be brought back into this race now. Ghost Rider's going to really struggle. Surely he should have come in, I would have thought, for the soft tyres, but he's decided to stay out on the hards. Maybe he'll come in at the end of this lap, but he should still keep his position. Yeah, 34 seconds ahead of Enchilada, so he'll keep his position. So surely it's time to come in. Same for Alex. Sumo, though, is in P7. He's going to keep that place. He's on 2-lap older medium tyres than everyone else's softs, but he's going to give it a go. But I think he might get gobbled up by all the soft tyre drivers behind him. Alex and Ghost Rider both staying out. That's a huge surprise. There's no benefit to staying out, guys. I don't know why they've done this. They're just going to get eaten up by Enchilada and AP now behind. But that's the choice they've made. Let's see, can I get live on my phone? There we go. So it's Lawrence who leads the race from LB with Tier in P3. Ghost Rider and Alex. Oh, swapping places because Alex is into the gravel. I don't know how that's happened, but he's lost a place to Ghost Rider as a result of that. I don't know if that was a mistake or contact under the safety car. But either way, Alex not going to be happy to lose that place there. Enchilada and AP still a long way for them to catch up. It might wait another lap to come in. got currently 7.5 laps left in this Grand Prix. And it's unclear how long the safety car is going to stay out here. Ghost Rider's trying to let Alex back through, but that's not going to happen. Don't even try it. It just breaks the game, guys. But anyway. They have swapped places. And they're just going to have to accept it for now. As Enchilada Dad getting back into the race after his early pit stop for the slicks did not go to plan. The safety car has given him a lifeline, and he's got an opportunity to salvage some more points out of this one. But after a rocket fire debut from this Williams driver last season, he's not had the start to season 11 that he would have wanted. As AP catches back up as well. It should come in at the end of lap 22 now, the safety car. And Lawrence will know that as LB. I say nearly goes into the back of him, but I don't think there was anything in that. As Ghost Rider and Alex again swapping places, because again Ghost Rider's trying to let him back through, and it's again causing issues with the game. Guys, stop doing this, please. Like, if you swap places under the safety car, just stay there. If you try and let people back through, it just breaks the game. That's all it does. But Ghost Rider's still trying to do it. Guys, just leave it. Do it in the stewards. They should know this, but anyway. I'm just going to stop covering that because it's frustrating me. But Lawrence, he's got to keep his nerves under control here. He knows this is a big opportunity. He lost the race win last week from blocking Tier in qualifying, and he was very frustrated with himself for making that mistake. It cost him a lot of points, and another season opener race win, but can he make amends today with a win here in China? It remains to be seen. SDRS Racing out of this race, and in fact he's left the league as well. After one incident, doesn't matter how many good races you have with these people, one incident that they don't like, and gone. That's it. So yeah, frustrating, but there we go. He will not be coming back. So it's Lawrence now who leads, as the safety car will be in this lap. LB there in P2 just behind him, who's shown outrageous pace today compared to the rest of the grid. People even calling for a nerf to LB, the two-time Tier 2 champion. But can he prove it once again on these soft tyres to the end of this Grand Prix? We're going to have 6 racing laps to battle out for every position on the grid. Sumo, keep an eye on him because he's going to be under a ton of pressure from all the drivers on softs behind him. Lawrence hasn't quite gone for it yet. Now he has on the exit, the hairpin, and he's caught LB a little bit off guard. He's gained a few tenths on him, so he's not going to be under pressure down towards turn 1. Tier's going to try and put LB under pressure here. Jacko's been massively caught out, though, even despite Lawrence being his teammate. And here comes Aces around the outside for turn 1. What a move this would be for Aces versus Kings, who made the mistake earlier in this Grand Prix. Lost out all the way down to the back of the grid. Well, there was contact between him and LB, but he's made the move. He's back up to P4, and Ace is looking for a podium again in this race after qualifying P2 and dropping all the way to the back in the rain. But the recovery continues. What a drive he's having at the moment. Lucas Rowe up to P7 in the meantime. Sumo getting eaten up on those medium tyres. Rick and Mania swapping places as well as they chase after the stricken Mercedes. Rick, look at the extra grip he's got compared to that Mercedes, but he can't quite make use of it at that corner. Ghost Rider and Alex fighting it out as well. Alex down to last place, P15 in the meantime as AP gets past him. Enchilada Dad continues his recovery. He's up to P12. Alex back past AP though. And that must have been a big send from the Aston Martin driver, the Mercedes driver rather, as Sumo loses another place, this time to Rick, as he's down to P9, and he is going to be under pressure from Mania and RJ behind him now as well. But here come these two, they're side by side. RJ's braked very, very late. He's very lucky not to go into the back of Sumo there, but he's just about gotten away with it, with the better grip on those soft tyres. LB setting the fastest lap and putting Lawrence under pressure down towards turn one. These two old rivals in APPF1. Fierce rivalry between these two a couple of seasons ago, but it was Lawrence who won out that time, and it's Lawrence who's won out again here through turns 1 and 2. But is it too little too late, or is he just living on borrowed time here, the Alpine driver? It remains to be seen, but Tier is going to be putting LB under pressure. Every time he fails to get past Lawrence, he is going to be under threat from this Ferrari driver, who is no slouch at this Grand Prix at the moment. Aces versus Kings as well. If he can get in DRS range, he'll be in this fight for the win, with Jack Alaco not far behind him either. Ferrari up there in P6. He's got great pace today in that McLaren, showing good improvement, but again, just with the incidents today, he's not had the greatest day. But in terms of pace, he's been fantastic so far. Rick 2.5 seconds behind with that penalty. Let's put penalties on the screen. It's 3 seconds to Ferrari and Rick, and to Alex, with Ghost Rider with 5 seconds of penalties. As they go down towards the hairpin now. Lucas Rowe under pressure from the Red Bull of RJ. Tier has lost out to LB. 1.1 seconds between him and the AlphaTauri now. 4 laps to go at the end of this one. RJ sends it on Lucas Rowe and gets the move done, but he's got no ERS left. Lucas Rowe has plenty, and he should be able to get the move done on the exit here. DRS is enabled, and RJ gets that penalty. Enchilada Dad gets a time penalty as well for track limits, and that's going to be a disaster for both of them, as Lucas Rowe round the outside for turn 1. Can he make it work into turn 2? No, he can't, unless he can do the switchback on the Red Bull, but no such luck, and he's going to have to wait for another opportunity. Sumo holding off Mania in the meantime for P10. Enchilada Dad just behind, but he does have that time penalty to contend with. We've got Lucas Rowe again looking for an overtake on RJ, but can't make it work. Ferrari in DRS range of Jack Alaco. Where has this pace come from? He must love this track, the Spanish driver. He's had some fantastic pace today, and it's great to see the improvement that he's been making in APPF1 recently. In the last month or so, he's improved for pace so much, and now chasing after a possible top 5 finish, although with that time penalty he's going to have a little bit of luck for that, but still a top 6 finish potentially for the McLaren driver. He will not be unhappy with that at all. LB 1.3 seconds behind Lawrence. This was unexpected. I don't think anyone would have thought this would happen. LB is not in DRS range of Lawrence and is not pressuring him at this stage with 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Sumo and Lucas Rowe battling, and Sumo getting past the Ferrari, in fact, back up to P9. And as those softs begin to struggle, at this stage, Sumo's back in this Grand Prix in terms of pace with the rest of the midfield here. Lucas Rowe right behind, but he's not going to make a move into turn 1 or 2. So he's going to have to wait again. Sumo, though, out of DRS range of RJ, and that's going to hurt him. So it's going to be, I think, DRS swaps between these two for the last 3 laps, unless Lucas Rowe can get him here. No, backs out sensibly. Does the Italian driver, and stays down there in P10. Jack Alaco putting Aces under pressure, and Aces is putting Tier under pressure. This is the battle for the last podium place. Ferrari has dropped out of said battle, so it's all about these 3 drivers. It's 2 seconds up the road. LB is checked out for these three, but Aces is under pressure from Jacko now. Here comes the Alpine driver down the inside. They're both going to get DRS here, but they're going to be side by side on the exit, and this is going to be one heck of a battle between these two. The top two in the Drivers' Championship last season. They're looking for the last podium place today. Here comes Aces down the inside of Tyr. There's nothing that Tyr can do except brake as late as he dares, and what a brilliant late braking maneuver from Tyr to keep that position. That's a fantastic move from him there. Jacko, it has the advantage in terms of ERS with 50% compared to these two, less than 20, but with only 2 laps to go, is there enough time for Jacko to make the daring double overtake and get himself on the podium here? We'll have to wait and see. LB losing out to Lawrence. He's got no pace left. And the Alpine driver of Lawrence, after losing the win last week, is looking to take it this week and make amends. 2 laps to go as Sumo gets past Lucas Rowe for P9 in the meantime. Is more than 3 seconds behind RJ now, but only briefly back in that margin, but he's got to stay within those 3 seconds to gain P8 here, as the 2 Aston Martins now go wheel to wheel just behind Mania and AP, side by side on the exit of turn 5, and AP gets the better exit. He's up to P12, and he'll be very pleased with that move. He'll be happy to pull that one off. Mania down into 13th place. Alex G, 1.5 seconds behind them. He's just been checked out of this race now. Those medium tyres not good enough for him, and Ghost Rider way behind on the hards as well. He's got nothing in that Red Bull at this stage. But here we go. Aces, Jacko and Tyr once again. DRS open down towards the hairpin. This is the penultimate lap of the race, and who's going to get ahead here down into the last few corners? It's going to be Aces on Tyr around the outside, but there's contact. Tyr is, I think, locked up, and Jacko might have gone into the back of Aces. Ferrari's up to P5. Aces is down to P7. He's spun on the exit of the hairpin. He is going to be furious in that Haas. As Enchiladad now trying to make a move on Lucas Rowe for P10. As we head on to the last lap, Enchilada just backing out before the last corner. Great racing between those two there. But it's Tyr now on the podium, but he's under huge pressure from Jackalacco, who's going to look to steal it off him on the final lap. It was heartbreak for Tyr last time in China in Tier 2. He's looking for a better result today. Enchiladad getting past AP in the meantime, up to P11 for the Williams driver. It's not been a day he would want to remember, but he's still going to want to keep that position on track, even if he loses it to the track limits penalty he's got. They go side by side, but AP again with the better braking on the exit of turn 5, and he keeps that position on track. But he's got no ERS left. He's going to be under pressure down towards the hairpin on this final lap. Talking of pressure, here comes Jackalacco just behind Tyr, and you have to think this is an inevitability now. Here comes the Alpine. Tyr with a little mistake. Jacko, no such error from the defending champion as he looks to regain that podium position. It's going to be a double podium for Alpine as it stands. He chooses the outside line after Tyr covered it off. It's just enough for Jacko, uses the rest of his ERS, and he is ahead onto the podium. Ferrari and Rick battling it out for P5 in the meantime. What a drive it's been for Ferrari. He's going to hold him off. Lawrence comes home to win the Chinese Grand Prix. LB P2 in the end. What a surprise that is. Jacko finishes P3. Ferrari holds off Rick by 16 thousandths of a second on a drag race to the line. Sumo and Ace is going to have a drag race as well, and Sumo's going to win it by 19 thousandths of a second. Lucas Rowe finishes P10, everyone else behind. What a finish to an action-packed Chinese Grand Prix. There's going to be a lot of unhappy drivers, but wow, what a race. Double podium for Alpine. What a performance from them. I'm going to join the party, get ready for interviews with that top three. And there we go. But it's Lawrence who takes the win here in China. A huge surprise after LB dominated for most of the race. LB finishes P2 in the end with Giacolacco in P3, making it a double podium for Alpine. And the reigning Constructors' Champions looking very good at the moment. Tia P4 in the end, had it taken off him on the last lap with Rafferrari in the top 5. What a performance from him, even if he had a few mishaps with incidents in this race. Rick in P6 with the fastest lap. RJ finishes P7. Sumo in the top 8 with Aces, going to be very disappointed with P9. Lucas Rowe in P10. AP, Mania, Enchilada Dad, Alex and Ghost Rider, the last of the finishers, with Scott, Robzu and SDRS Racing the Child all out of the race. Driver of the day. Oof. As we wait for the top 3 to get into the interview room, Jacko's already in, you might have heard. Man. Driver of the day. It's a tricky one. After the interviews, and I'll put it up on the graphic when that's updated in about 15 minutes time. But for now, we've got Lawrence and Jacko in. Are we going to get LB, I wonder? Is LB even in the group? Whoops. Hang on a second. LB. No, he's not in the group, so let's add him in. Always shows us offline, which is annoying. Oh, he is in the group. Why doesn't he show on my screen then? That's weird. I don't know why he's showing at the bottom, but anyway. Let's see. What do we got? LB interview ? We'll continue without LB for now, but Lawrence on the top step, on track for the second week in a row, but this time I think you might have just kept it. What a performance from you, and how was it?
Yeah, hopefully I get to keep this one. I don't think I was involved in any incidents. It was a nice race. Sprint race, I got caught in a incident between SDRS Racing, whatever his name is, and Scott down the back straight. I was literally just in the sandwich. They both got caught on my front tyres. That was in the sprint race. Nothing I could do about that. Main race, I was quite fortunate with safety cars. That's a bit, to be honest. Second safety car was worked out beautifully for me. Gambled the extra lap on the inters. Would I have gained any time? I think it'd probably been the same, really, the gap. So, yeah, quite fortunate for the safety car for the very end. And then, I just had good pace on the softs. I wasn't expecting the softs to hold out around China. Last 2 laps, so I was feeling it a little bit, especially on that long right-hander and going into sector 3. But yeah, overall, good race. GG's to LB and Jacko.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to ask you, first of all, what was your setup like? Was it a bit of a hybrid setup, or was it more of a dry setup or a wet setup? Because obviously the weather was very topsy-turvy that race, so I'm interested to hear what setup you went for.
I went for a dry setup. Yeah, it rained. It rained for a little bit longer than I anticipated, according to what the pre-race strategy was telling me. Yeah, but it felt a lot. It felt like a long time for the rain to come at the beginning as well, because it was forecast on our screens that it was gonna be raining from the race start. But I think we waited about 3-4 laps in the first few drops. Was it 3-4 laps?
Yeah, it was about 5 laps, I think.
Yeah, 5-6 laps. Then the first drops started falling. Yeah, I mean, looking back, I would have probably started on the softs and kept the mediums for the end. I don't know, but yeah, that's probably the only thing I might have done differently.
Well, you certainly got it right in the end. Just want to ask last question. When you took the lead, thanks to that last safety car, did you think that you had a chance at the race win with how much LB had dominated the race until that point, or were you feeling confident in your race pace on the softs?
I was surprised LB never came at me. I saw that he was extremely dominant in the sprint race, and also just looking at his qualifying performance as well. I thought if he was going to get past me, I was just going to try and sit behind him, and then I just have to use DRS to my advantage. But yeah, thankfully I had a really strong pace and managed to see it out.
Well, congratulations on your race win. Hopefully you managed to keep it this time after the stewards. So congrats. I don't know, I haven't worked out the standings at all, but I have to think it's looking pretty good for you at this stage. Well, good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, long way to go. There's always one race where it all goes topsy-turvy.
Yeah. Monaco's coming up, remember?
Yeah. Thanks for your comments.
No problem. So we move on to LB. First time I've spoken to you since Great Britain last season, but this time it's for P2 in a race that you dominated almost from start to finish, but just seemed to lose the pace at the end. How was it for you?
Wasn't too bad. The sprint was fairly easy. I think that Ricky and Aces and Tia were battling a lot. I think Jakalaka was there as well, fighting for second or third. I can't remember. So it was quite easy for me to just sort of pull away. And then the tyres started to feel awful. So it was just a final couple of laps, just taking it nice and easy to bring it back home. And then the race, clearly Lawrence is he's got Rob Suan's got under his paycheck, because that was there's nothing more I can do in that situation other than just drive. And yeah, unfortunately, it was after the second safety car, I think Tia just kept on tapping in the back a bit, which just meant I was overheating my tyres. And then when he sort of dropped off a bit, I couldn't really catch up to Lawrence. He seemed to be doing quite well, just all the way around the track. Really, I just couldn't really beat him on the final point of the race, really.
Well, it was still a very good performance from you. Some very good points today. I just want to ask you, since first time I've been able to talk to you this season, how are you feeling about the rest of the calendar? Because we've got, let me just double check what the next round is. We've got Canada next up, and then Kota, so two very up and down tracks for some people. And then of course Monaco in week 6. But what's your thoughts on it?
I think France is the only one I'm looking forward to. All the others I'm not too excited for. I know that Lawrence can't do Monaco at all, because I think him and Darth shown their skill levels around there, and that was a chaos for them both. So that's fine with me. I can come into Monaco with a confidence. However, I think even I got lucky last time I was in Monaco and somehow finish the race. USA, I feel like is going to be good. I think the others is going to be interesting because I haven't really touched those tracks in a very long time, which I think is why you put them on the calendar.
Not at all. But no, congrats on the P2, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again later on this season.
Yeah, of course you will. See you later.
Yeah, pipe down, LB. Sit back down now. Sit down, LB. Sit down. Know your place. Sit down. Know your place.
You gifted little fucker.
Alright, we'll move on to our P3 finisher, Jack Alacco, defending champion, back on form once again after the bit of a calamity that was Australia last week. So, good to be back.
Very good. Feels like home again.
Yeah, how was that race for you?
It was alright. Bodged my quali, but had a good sprint race. Getting back up to second. Managed to get LB off the line. And when he got past me, it felt like it was going to be a Max Verstappen moment. But safety cars didn't really go in my favour. And I had a dry setup on, so I was a bit slow in the wet. But then, so obviously the softs came back, and I had a good battle with Aces and Tier. I don't know if you caught it, but they had a wee little bump at the hairpin.
Yeah.
So I managed to take advantage of that, and again, I don't know if you caught it, but Tier was trying to play the games for like the whole sector 2 and 3. I've done this long enough to not fall for that, so got him down the straight and got a double podium for Alpine.
Oh well, congratulations in the end. I mean, qualifying, was it just a bad lap, or did it just not come together?
It was a bit of both, because I was like second, then seventh, then second, then seventh, back to second, and then I went deep at the hairpin and fell to like fifth, I think it was.
Right.
So a good and bad.
Well, congratulations anyway.
Thank you.
With, of course, 6 rounds to go, it's early days, but a strong result. Is it giving you confidence for the rest of this season in terms of the championship, or are you not thinking about that at the moment?
I'm just having fun now. I'm like Nico Rosberg. I'm just having fun. But no, I'm weirdly looking forward to Monaco. It might sound strange, but you've seen how I got in cockpit cam in here, Sorrel, and I'm weirdly looking forward to Monaco. Kota in Canada, nah. France, meh. But Netherlands and Monza should be alright. So a bit meh.
Well, you never know what can happen in Formula 1, especially in Tier 2. So good luck for the rest of the season, Jacko, and congrats on being back on the podium.
Thank you.
Petition to get rid of France, by the way.
Yeah.
Well,
revolting track.
Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you all ever so much for watching. We'll be back next week for more Tier 2. We'll be in the streets of Canada, Montreal, next week, so we'll see how that goes. I'm very much looking forward to it. Should be an action-packed Grand Prix just like today. But in the meantime, hope you all have a lovely rest of your week, and we'll see you next time for more APPF1. Goodbye.